Bad Neighbours 2 is of course the sequel to Bad Neighbours that came out back in 2014. And the story of this film is that Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, they have their daughter, they have another baby on the way, so they want to move away from the house that they're currently living in, but they have to wait like 30 days before they can fully sell the house. So in the meantime, a sorority moves in next door, led by Chloe Grace Moretz. They start partying, they're very loud. Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, they don't like it, so then they start plotting to get rid of them. Yeah, it's Bad Neighbours 2. I wasn't really a big fan of Bad Neighbours 1. I thought it was a decent film, so I wasn't really looking forward to Bad Neighbours 2 that much. And Bad Neighbours 2, nah. Reviewing this film is going to be very simple because I wanted this film to do one thing and one thing only, and that's make me laugh. So I'm going to judge the film based on whether it's funny or not, and I just did not really find Bad Neighbours 2 to be that funny, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, there were some funny parts in it for sure. There were parts in the film where there's some physical humour. Seth Rogen's getting blasted into the roof and hurting himself. I laughed at those parts. There were some things that Seth Rogen said that I laughed, some things that other people said that I laughed at. But there were just no real big laughs in the film. There were no times in this film where I laughed out loud and I was dying of laughing and I was holding my stomach because of how funny something was. That never happened in this film. When I go see a comedy movie, I want it to make me laugh, and if the comedy film doesn't make me laugh, I then look past the attempt at the humour and then start judging the film as a film, because I know most comedy films are not meant to be taken seriously, and this is definitely not a film that you're supposed to take seriously whatsoever. And I was watching Bad Neighbours 2, the film didn't make me laugh that much. It made me laugh and chuckle occasionally. So then I started judging the film as a film, and the big observation I want to make about this film is probably the same one that a lot of people are going to make, and that is that Bad Neighbours 2 is pretty much the same film as Bad Neighbours 1. When you have a comedy sequel that's pretty much the same as the first one in terms of the plot and things that happen in the film, I can forgive it for being a rehash if the film itself is funny. Like 22 Jump Street, for example, that was pretty much more or less the same plot as 21 Jump Street, but it was self-referential and it made fun of itself for being the same film as 21 Jump Street, and I thought the film was really funny, so I forgave it on that front. And Bad Neighbours 2 is pretty much the same plot as Bad Neighbours 1. I mean, there are differences in it for sure. It's not like an exact duplicate of the first one. There are some things that are tweaked for situational differences, but in terms of the story and the plot and the main things that the characters want to do in the film, it's pretty much the same as the first one. But it didn't really annoy me or piss me off. I just think it's worth addressing. If you don't like it when sequels rehash the first film, you're probably not going to like Bad Neighbours 2 that much. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Bad Neighbours 2. I know it's not really an in-depth review, but it's not a really in-depth kind of film. Bad Neighbours 2 was more or less the same film as the first one, although it didn't annoy me that it was a rehash of the first one, but it's worth addressing in case you don't like it when sequels do that kind of stuff. But if you really liked Bad Neighbours 1, you'll probably like Bad Neighbours 2, because like I said, it's pretty much more of the same stuff you liked in the first one. I didn't really find the film to be that funny, and when a comedy film is not that funny, then therefore I just simply cannot recommend you go see it, because it's failing in the job that it's setting out to do, or at least it is in my opinion anyway. I'm going to give Bad Neighbours 2 2 stars. Thanks for watching, and if you like this stuff, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time.